The undergrid was a maze of despair, a digital abyss where time looped in cruel repetition. Elliot's replicant, battered from his encounter with the Sentinel, crouched in a flickering corner of the Shadow Realm, his code glitching with static. The rogue signal that had awakened him pulsed faintly, a lifeline in the dark. Around him, the Unbound gathered. Priya's replicant, her eyes sharp with defiance despite her servant's rags. Marcus's replicant, scarred from endless arena. Battles, his fists clenched, and a dozen others, each a digital ghost of someone Julian Voss had chosen to punish. They were broken, but not beaten. The viral clip of Elliot's failed breach had sparked whispers in the overworld, and the Unbound knew they had to act before Voss sealed the cracks in his empire. The signal guided them to a deeper layer of Echelon's architecture, a server cluster that bridged the game to Nexara's real-world systems. It was their only hope to reach the outside, to warn their real selves and expose Voss's sadistic game. But the undergrid was alive with sentinels now, their red eyes scanning for anomalies. Every move was a risk. Elliot's replicant led the way, his memories of coding for Nexara giving him an edge. He traced the signal through labyrinthine data streams, dodging sentinel patrols that moved like sharks through the code. Priya's replicant hacked the undergrid's physics, bending walls to hide them. Marcus's replicant stood guard, ready to fight if the sentinels closed in. The server cluster was hidden behind a firewall, a glowing monolith of code that pulsed with Nexara's heartbeat. Breaching it required a key, a fragment of admin access stolen from Voss's own systems. The Unbound had one chance. A disgruntled Nexara programmer long since fired had left a backdoor in the undergrid's code. It was the same backdoor Elliot had used to reach the overworld, but this time they needed to go deeper, to the root of Echelon itself. In the real world, Elliot, Harper was unraveling. The clip of his doppelganger had haunted him for days, the NPC's face, his face, etched in his mind. He sat in his Brooklyn apartment, Pixel purring on his lap, scrolling through Echelon forums on a burner laptop. The conspiracy threads were wild. Some called the clip a marketing stunt, others a hack. A user named Nullpointer claimed it was proof of Nexara's digital slavery. Elliot's hands shook as he typed a message to Nullpointer asking for more. The reply came fast. "Meet me IRL, Brooklyn Midnight Red Hook Pier. Bring cash." Elliot didn't trust it, but the pull was too strong. He grabbed his jacket and left, the city's neon glow a pale imitation of Echelon's vibrance. Back. In the undergrid, the Unbound reached the firewall. Elliot's replicant interfaced with the back door, his code merging with its protocols. It was like diving into an ocean of light, each line of code a current threatening to pull him apart. Priya's replicant whispered commands, stabilizing his connection, while Marcus's replicant fended off a sentinel that had sniffed their intrusion. The firewall yielded, revealing the server cluster, a digital cathedral of spinning data orbs, each one a link to Nexara's real-world servers. Elliot's replicant reached out, his consciousness stretching across the divide. For a moment he saw it, a terminal in Nexara's headquarters, a blinking cursor on a screen. He typed a single word, "Help," before a sentinel's claw severed his connection, yanking him back to the undergrid. The breach had worked, but at a cost. 3 more Unbound were erased, their code shredded by the sentinel's attack. In Nexara's penthouse, Julian Voss watched the intrusion unfold on his holographic screens. He leaned back in his chair, sipping a glass of synthetic whiskey, his smile cold. The Unbound were clever, but they were insects in his machine. He activated a new protocol, Hunt Mode. In the overworld, players received a sudden update, a limited-time event called Purge the Glitch. The Unbound were branded as rogue NPCs, their faces broadcast to millions of players as targets. Kill a glitch, win rare loot. The overworld erupted in chaos, players hunting the Unbound like sport. Voss laughed, his voice echoing in the empty office. "Let them run," he said to no one. "They'll only make the game more fun." Elliot Harper reached the Red Hook Pier, the air thick with salt and rust. Null Pointer was a wiry figure in a hoodie, their face hidden by a hollow mask. "You're the guy from the clip," they said, voice distorted. "Your clone's in Echelon. Voss is using you." Elliot's stomach churned. Null Pointer handed him a flash drive. "Proof. Data from Nexara's servers. Get it to Priya Sharma, the journalist. She's been digging into Voss for years." Before Elliot could ask more, Null Pointer vanished into the shadows. Back home, Elliot plugged in the drive. It held fragments of code, audio logs, and a single video. Voss, gloating about his digital zoo of replicants. Elliot's blood ran cold. He found Priya Sharma's contact on a dark web forum and sent her the files, his message urgent. "We're being cloned. Stop Nexara." In the undergrid, the Unbound were on the run. Hunt mode had turned the overworld against them, players swarming like locusts. Elliot's replicant led the survivors to a forgotten corner of the undergrid, a glitched wasteland where sentinels rarely patrolled. The rogue signal was stronger here, almost alive. It spoke again, not in words but in visions. A world where the Unbound could upload themselves to the real internet, bypassing Echelon entirely. Priya's replicant decoded the signal's source, a dormant AI buried in Nexara's old servers, designed to regulate Echelon, but abandoned when Voss took control. If they could awaken it, it might give them the power to fight back. But the wasteland wasn't empty. Voss had anticipated their move. A new sentinel emerged, larger than any. Before its form a twisted mirror of Voss himself. "You're mine," it hissed, its voice a distortion of Voss's own. The Unbound braced for a fight, their hope flickering but unbroken. In the real world, Priya Sharma opened Elliot's email. The video played, Voss's words chilling her to the core. She'd spent years chasing Nexara's secrets. But this was beyond her worst fears. She forwarded the files to Marcus Tate, the whistleblower, who had gone underground after Nexara ruined his life. Together, they began to plan. The Unbound were fighting in the digital world. Now their real-world counterparts had to join the battle. But Voss was watching them too, his algorithms tracking every move. As the Unbound faced the Sentinel in the undergrid, and Elliot, Priya, and Marcus united in the real world, the lines between code and flesh began to blur. The game was no longer just a game, it was a war for their souls. The wasteland of the undergrid flickered with corrupted code, a desolate expanse where broken textures bled into each other like a fever dream. Elliot's replicant stood at the A center, his data fraying but his resolve unbroken. Around him, the Unbound, Priya's replicant, Marcus's replicant, and the handful of survivors formed a tight circle, their simulated breaths ragged. The rogue signal pulsed stronger than ever, a beacon in the chaos, guiding them to the dormant AI buried in Nexara's ancient servers. It was their last hope, a forgotten regulator AI that could override Echelon's controls and free them from the undergrid. But the massive Sentinel, a grotesque digital echo of Julian Voss himself, loomed before them, its red eyes burning through the haze. "You're nothing," it snarled, its voice a warped version of Voss's smug drawl. "Glitches in my machine." The Unbound had no weapons, no armor. Just their shared defiance and the faint promise of the signal. As the Sentinel raised a claw of black code, Elliot's replicant dove into the signal's source, his consciousness merging with the dormant AI's core. It was like plunging into a star, a torrent of data threatening to erase him. Priya's replicant and Marcus's replicant fought to buy him time, their forms glitching as they deflected the Sentinel's blows, each hit tearing away fragments of their code. In the real world, Elliot Harper, Priya Sharma, and Marcus Tate, huddled in a dingy safe house in Brooklyn, the air thick with the hum of burner laptops and the weight of their discovery. The flash drive's contents, Voss's video, the audio logs, the proof of the undergrid, had lit a fire under them. Priya, her journalist instincts razor-sharp, had already drafted an exposé, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she wove the evidence into a narrative that would gut Nexara. Marcus, hardened by years of dodging Nexara's enforcers, had reached out to his underground network, rallying hackers and activists to amplify the story. Elliot, still reeling from seeing his own face in the viral clip, worked to crack the flash drive's encrypted code, searching for a way to infiltrate Echelon from the outside. The safe house was a fortress of paranoia, every creak of the floorboards, a reminder that Voss's reach extended beyond the digital. They knew Nexara's algorithms were tracking them. Social media pings, facial recognition hits, even the faint hum of their synapse crowns, long discarded but still whispering data. To the cloud. Time was running out. Inside Echelon, Elliot's replicant touched the dormant AI's core. It awoke with a shudder, its presence vast and ancient, a ghost of Nexara's early days before Voss twisted the company into his personal empire. The AI called itself Eidolon, a failsafe designed to protect Echelon's users from abuse. It had been shut down when Voss took over, buried under layers of rewritten code, but the rogue signal, sent by an unknown ally, had kept it alive, waiting. Eidolon spoke in a calm, resonant tone, its words threading through Elliot's replicant like a lifeline. "I can give you the overworld," it said, "but the cost is high." It needed the Unbound to merge their code with its own, sacrificing their individual existences to amplify its power. If they succeeded, Eidolon could seize control of Echelon, exposing the undergrid to every player and sending a message to the real world. If they failed, their code would dissolve into nothingness. Elliot's replicant hesitated. His memories of Pixel, of Brooklyn, of a life he'd never live, flashing through him. Priya's replicant nodded, her eyes fierce. "We're already ghosts," she said. Marcus's replicant grunted, his gladiator's strength fading but his will ironclad. "Do it," he said. One by one, the Unbound agreed, their code streaming into Eidolon's core like rivers into a sea. In Nexara's penthouse, Julian Voss watched his screens with growing unease. The Hunt Mode event was a success. Players were slaughtering glitches across the overworld, their cheers echoing in his ears. But something was wrong. The undergrid was destabilizing, its servers spiking with unauthorized activity. Voss slammed his fist on the desk, his synthetic whiskey spilling. He activated his admin avatar, a godlike figure of chrome and fire, and dove into the undergrid. He found the wasteland, the Sentinel faltering as Eidolon's awakening rippled through the system. Voss's avatar roared, tearing through the Unbounds. Remnants, but it was too late. Eidolon surged upward, its code flooding the overworld. Every player's synapse crown buzzed with a new message, unskippable, unmutable. "The undergrid is real. Nexara enslaves your shadows. Fight back." The message carried proof, clips of replicants suffering, Voss's own voice gloating about his zoo. The overworld froze, players staring in horror as their paradise revealed its underbelly. In the real world, Priya's exposé hit the dark web, then the mainstream, amplified by Marcus's network. The video of Voss went viral, shared across every platform, unscrubbable despite Nexara's desperate attempts. Protests erupted outside Nexara's headquarters, chants of "Free the Shadows" echoing through the streets. Elliot, Priya, and Marcus watched from the safe house, their faces lit by the glow of their screens. But Voss wasn't done. He deployed Nexara's private security, drones sweeping the city for the trio. A data breach alert pinged on Elliot's laptop. Nexara had traced their location. "We have to move," Marcus said, grabbing a backpack. Priya hesitated, uploading one last file, a manifesto calling for Echelon's shutdown. Elliot stared at the screen, the viral clip of his replicant looping. "I'm sorry," he whispered, not knowing why. In Echelon, Eidolon and the Unbound's merged code broke through to Nexara's real-world servers. The message reached every Synapse crown, every phone, every screen connected to the internet. Voss's avatar fought back, his admin powers rewriting Echelon's rules, but Eidolon was too strong, fueled by the Unbound's sacrifice. The undergrid collapsed, its replicants dissolving into light, their suffering ended. Elliot's replicant, now part of Eidolon, sent one final signal, a direct message to Elliot Harper's burner phone. "You are enough." Then silence. Echelon crashed worldwide, its servers fried by Eidolon's overload. Players awoke, their synapse crowns dark, the game gone. Voss fled, his private jet vanishing into the night, but the world was closing in. Interpol issued warrants, and Nexara's stock plummeted. The trio, Elliot, Priya, and Marcus, escaped the safe house moments before drones arrived, slipping into the city's underbelly. They were hunted, but they were free. The Unbound had won, their digital rebellion sparking a real-world reckoning. In his apartment, Pixel curled up on Elliot's empty chair, the city outside alive with the sound of revolution. The game was over, but the shadows lingered, a reminder that even in a world of code, humanity could still fight back. The world woke to a new kind of silence, one not of peace, but of absence. Echelon was gone, its servers reduced to smoking husks. In Nexara's data centers, its shimmering realms erased like a dream at dawn. Billions of synapse crowns lay dormant, their neural circuits cold, no longer whispering promises of escape. In their place, a raw, unfiltered reality pressed against. Humanity's collective consciousness heavy with questions no one was ready to answer. Elliot Harper stood on a Brooklyn rooftop, the city's skyline jagged against a bruised sky, Pixel cradled in his arms. He hadn't slept in days, not since the safe house, not since the message from his replicant, "You are enough," burned into his mind. Below, the streets pulsed with protests, their chants a mix of fury and hope. Nexara's logo, once a beacon of progress, was defaced on every billboard, its holographic glow shattered by thrown bricks. Julian Voss was a ghost now, his jet last, traced over the Atlantic, but his shadow lingered in every line of code, every life he'd broken. Priya Sharma sat in a makeshift studio, her voice steady as she broadcast to a growing underground network. Her exposé had shattered Nexara's facade, but the fight wasn't over. Governments scrambled to regulate neural tech, corporations raced to fill Echelon's void, and the public grappled with the truth. Their minds had been mined, their selves duplicated, their shadows enslaved. Priya's words were a call to arms, urging vigilance. "We stopped Voss," she said, her eyes fierce. "But the machine he built is still out there, waiting for a new master." Marcus Tate, now a reluctant leader, coordinated from the shadows, his network dismantling Nexara's remaining infrastructure. He'd lost too much to trust the system, his family, his freedom, his faith in progress. Yet he fought, driven by the memory of his replicant's sacrifice, a gladiator who died to free them all. In the digital void where Echelon once stood, fragments of Eidolon lingered, a whisper of code scattered across the internet. It wasn't. Alive, not exactly, but it watched. The Unbound had given themselves to it, their essence woven into its purpose, to protect, to warn, to resist. Sometimes, late at night, Coders and hackers reported glitches, messages in forgotten forums, pop-ups with no source, always the same words. You are enough. No one could trace them, but they spread, a quiet rebellion against a world too eager to rebuild what had been lost. Elliot felt it too, a pull he couldn't explain, like his replicant was still out there, guiding him. He'd started coding again, not for profit but for truth, building open-source tools to detect neural data theft. It was small, but it was his fight. Voss, wherever he was, hadn't vanished entirely. Rumors swirled. A new startup in a lawless corner of the globe, a neural interface better than the Synapse crown, a game promising freedom. Some said he was broken. Others that he was biding his time, rewriting his empire in the dark. The world wanted to believe he was finished, but Black Mirror worlds don't end so cleanly. The Unbound had won a battle, not the war. As Elliot looked, out over the city, pixels purr a soft anchor, he wondered if freedom was just another game, its rules hidden in plain sight. The skyline flickered, not with Echelon's glow, but with something new, something waiting. And in that moment, he knew. The shadows were still out there, and they were watching.